Hi everyone, this is Chris from A Bar Above.
And this is Julia from A Bar Above. You might remember me from last Christmas's cameo, but I'm not normally in front of the camera. But today I thought I would join you because we're talking about one of my favorite topics.
Ginger. So stay tuned. So last weekend I did an event, and one of the drinks that I made featured ginger. So I have a lot of extra ginger left over. So what we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to be talking about the differences between ginger ale and ginger beer, and we're also going to be making a cheater ginger beer for everyone as well.
So historically, ginger ale was made much like soda, kind of like the soda that we made a couple of videos ago, where you use yeast to add the carbonation. But ginger beer, on the other hand, was fermented, just like beer, just like the name. And so that would result in a little bit less carbonation. It was traditionally a little bit less sweet. And it was also traditionally alcoholic, up to 11%, I think.
Yum. That sounds delicious.
Nowadays, you don't really see that. Ginger beer is usually kept under 0.5% of alcohol because that's what the FDA in the US requires for it to be classified as a non-alcoholic beverage.
And one of the benefits of that is they can get distributed nationwide and without any restrictions on, where they can sell their products. So there's a lot of advantages for getting underneath that 0.5%. Now, one of the things that we tried at Tales of the Cocktails was a traditional style of ginger beer, and it's called Krabby's. And it's not 11%, but it was about 4-5%.
I think so.
Yeah, and it was really tasty, and it tasted exactly like ginger beer to me.
But it was alcoholic.
Yeah, so,
Danger.
if you're mixing with it, just be careful. You might have to adjust your recipe slightly. But now, the biggest thing that most of you that have been behind a bar have a lot of experiences between ginger beer and ginger ale. You'll know that nowadays ginger ale tends to be a lot sweeter, a lot mellower on the spicy notes of the ginger, whereas the ginger beer is the exact opposite. It's a lot drier, it has a lot more of that ginger flavor, and it just makes its presence known a lot more in cocktails.
And some of them aren't sweet at all even, I've noticed.
Yeah, so there's a wide spectrum on the sweetness of ginger beer. There definitely can be, for sure.
Yeah, so it's nice for folks who don't like things that are terribly sweet. You've got the option.
Right, absolutely. So, so today we're going to be making a cheater beer for everyone.
A cheater ginger beer. So
Right.
The reason we say that is that traditionally ginger beer was fermented, but because we've done so many videos recently using carbonating things in various ways, using yeast, using our soda stream, and
last week we did the DIY carbonating system. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make a cheater ginger beer, and we're going to be using the DIY carbonating system that we used last week. And it's going to be a lot of fun, very easy, and we're going to be using a lot of the techniques that are used for making ginger beer nowadays.
So stay tuned, and we'll have something for your dark and stormy shortly.
Yeah, I love that drink.
So what do you think?
So for me, for our version of the cheater ginger beer, the ginger comes a lot later in the palate. It's not as sweet, and it's a lot more intense. So it's really, really interesting. The freshness of the ginger definitely comes through. It's really good and a lot more intense in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. On the Goslings, it's definitely sweeter, which works for me because I like everything sweeter. And with that, you get a little bit of that sort of extra body and mouth feel, but that's not surprising because sugar can definitely add that to a cocktail, or to, in this case, the ginger beer. So those two could definitely be related. On the ginger, I get it really early. It's like the first thing I taste is the ginger, but it does taper off really, really quickly. So it sort of disappears pretty quickly. So it's kind of a matter of taste on the ginger.
Yep. So at the end of the day, one of the things I love about the ginger beer concentrate is when you're designing cocktails, it gives you a lot of flexibility in the final drink. So if one of your guests would like, that cocktail to have a little bit more sweetness, you can simply add, you can simply add a little bit more simple syrup to the mix. But if they want that intensity of the ginger to shine through, you can just leave it the way it is. And, as you can see, just by adding soda water, you can create something very, very similar to ginger beer.
Yeah, and I think the other really neat thing is that this bottle of concentrate makes just about 64 ounces of ginger beer, and it costs us only $2 in ingredients. Whereas the Goslings, that bottle is about 33 ounces, so it would cost us almost $7 or $8 for the same amount.
Yeah, and that's one of the beautiful things about craft cocktails is once you start making your own ingredients, it can really have a huge savings on your bar program. So there's a lot of benefit in learning these techniques and learning how to make your own products behind your bar, because at the end of the day, it's going to save your establishment and hopefully, your business a lot of money. So we'll have some more videos in the future, but until then, I hope you guys have a great shift, and cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Google+, or visit us at abarabove.com. I really do think that Demerara sugar and a little bit of agave nectar is going to make this all so much better. Because like with citric acid, you're with raw sugar or white sugar, you don't have any flavor, so it lets everything else kind of shine through.
Yeah.
But with Demerara, you have that molasses flavor, which will cover up some of the intensity of the ginger.
That's true. It'll probably have
and the
the
agave
body
as well. Right. So I think that agave plus Demerara would be
coming soon.